So, hello students. In this today's session, we will be covering the process diagram, which is in the writing task 1. So, without a further ado, let's get started with the video. So here, the very first thing we see is that this question. This is what we have in front of us. So the very first question we see here, you will be in the process diagrams be getting all these types. Okay, you will always be getting the diagrams, the figures present in the question. Okay, all kind of figures will be there. So like this, in this one, can you see there are two types of figures? You can get one, you can get two. It depends actually. So here you see that the very first figure says that it's about cement production. Okay, like how does the cement get produced? This is all about it's talking, and here it's concrete production. Okay, here we are talking about that how do we produce the concrete. This is all about it. Now these are the two types. So first of all, I would always recommend all of you that please understand the figure very well so that you can then better write it later on. So the very first thing we see is that you need to read the question in order to understand the figure properly. The reading of question is very important. So let's read it. What does it say? So it says that the diagrams show the stages. What does it show? It shows the stages and equipment used in the cement making. Okay, it's showing you the stages and the equipments used in the cement making process and how cement is used to produce concrete for building purposes. Okay, like how are we using this cement in producing the concrete for building purposes? This is what are these diagrams all about. Now you need to summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and making comparisons where relevant. This is all what you have got here. Understood? Now moving ahead, okay, so first of all, what you see after reading the question, you have understood that I've got two types of figures. First one says that it's all about the cement production. The second one is all about the concrete production. Now what do you see? You need to see that in the all types of diagrams, you will always see that there are some things labeled. Okay, some things will be always labeled. It's like that. Can you see this limestone? Can you see this clay? So this limestone and clay both are getting poured under the crusher. Okay, they are all getting crushed. Now after this powder, this fine powder is getting produced. You always have to understand it in your own language, in your own way. Just interpret what is all happening in the figures. This is what you're supposed to do in your own, understanding. You have to understand it and divide it into some steps so that you can write it properly later on. So what do you see? Here is the limestone, here is the clay. They both are getting mixed under the crusher. It is getting crushed by a crusher. After that, you see that it's what has been made after these two is getting mixed and crushed. It's the fine powder which is getting created. Now, after this powder, it is getting poured under the mixer. Okay, we are then mixing this powder, fine powder. After this, we are just pouring this mixed powder under this heater. Okay, we are heating this in the rotating heater. Okay, we poured it and we heated it. Later on, we are pouring this one again in the grinder. Okay, now our cement is ready. Later on, our cement is now ready. And now what you're supposed to do, you need to pack them in the bags for the transportation and use. So these are all the steps. You have to comprehend it. And what about the next one? We have this as concrete production. Okay, we have to now produce the concrete. Here, you just have it in the single steps. Can you see this? You have cement. You're using cement first of all, which is in the 15%, and water you are pouring in the 10%, and then you have gravel in the 50% and sand in the 25%. You are all pouring this in one go under the concrete mixer. You are mixing them all in one go. This is all what you're doing. Next, this gravel, if you don't understand it, it's about small stones. Okay, the small stones which we use in order to make buildings and houses. Yes, so it is all about concrete production. This is all about it. So you understood, you had your own understanding of these two figures. Now you will later on do what? You will write it. But before writing, you have to put them into these steps. It is very crucial. Okay, now Show steps of a process, whether you need to firstly understand that whether it's a man-made process or it's a natural process. You need to understand that. After building this understanding, you just need to describe each stage clearly, use formal academic language over there while writing. You're not supposed to write informal language, obviously. It's a formal writing, and later on write at least in 150 words. So 150 to 180 is the ideal range in which you can write your response. Okay, 150 to 180 you can go up to. Now, like the example we just saw was the cement process. Now, this was the question we saw. Later on, how are we supposed to write it? What should be the exact format we have to follow here is this one. We have to firstly have the very first para, which is to be the introduction para. In the introduction, we do nothing else, nothing new, but the same thing, which is paraphrasing. In all the types of reports, we just paraphrase in the first para. That's our intro para. Understood? So yes, paraphrasing. Okay, so when I see this word paraphrasing, I hope you all must be knowing about it. But if in case you don't know, let me tell you, paraphrasing is nothing new but using the different words, using the synonyms to those words which are mentioned in the question. So you will just paraphrase the question itself in the intro para. Now, when I say paraphrase, you have to use the synonym, you have to use the different language of what is mentioned in the question. But you never ever have to change the meaning itself. The meaning has to be the same. Understood? The meaning will always be same. It's just the language which will be changed. And you have to write it in your own language. That's what we call paraphrasing. This is what you will do in the intro para. Next, the overview paragraph. This is done. Second will be always the overview paragraph. What do you do in overview? In overview, you just represent the figure as an overall perspective. What do you see? What do you look out from that? See, you just need to summarize the process briefly. Now here it's the process in the different types of graphs, maybe there'll be different things. Okay, you just need to understand, look for the things as an overall broader aspect. Like what's happening? What are the changes coming? Understood? So that's what you do in the overview para. Now after this, you will write the body paragraphs. Now in the body paragraph, what you do? You just describe each stage logically. Here you are supposed to describe each of the stage logically. The way we were just understanding the graph, you have to have that sort of understanding by yourself. Now let me just divide the time bifurcation in front of you all. So you are going to get 20 minutes for this. That is something we have divided and given to ourselves. Okay. We are given for the writing task in total. What is the time we have got for this? Is 60 minutes. And now we divide this 60 minutes in a way that 20 minutes for the writing task 1 and 40 minutes for the writing task 2. We divide it like this. Now 20 minutes, once we see this 20 minutes bifurcation is going to go like this, that you will firstly be preparing your pointers. You will firstly be doing what? You will firstly be giving yourself 5 minutes time, in which you will just do prep. You will understand. It's the prep time of yours. What do we understand with prep time? It's the preparation time. You will understand the figure in this time, that what is there in the figure. You have to build your own understanding out of it. Once you're done with this, later on, you will give 13 minutes in order to respond. You need to give response. You need to then write it. Later on, you will also be giving 2 minutes of your time in which you will just do revision. Okay, that's how you are going to divide your time. Okay, now once I know that I have this time limit, so in this 5 minutes, I will be utilizing it in a way that I have to understand it. Okay, understanding the figure, because it's going to be very easy for me to later on write those steps which we have understood in the 5 minutes here in the body paragraphs. It will be very easier for us to do then. Okay, so this is done. Now, what are the some tips which we have to follow while writing? Use passive voice all the time. Okay, link stages with sequencing words like initially. Here in the process diagrams, it's very important that you use these sequencers. Okay, then, finally, like that. And cover all steps, no extra opinions. See, no opinions are needed here. You're not supposed to provide any kind of opinions. You just have to state what's happening. That's about it. Be it any kind of a report you have got in the task 1, be it any kind of a graph, be it process diagram or maybe something else, but you're not ever supposed to give your opinions here. You're always just supposed to state what is happening, describe what is happening. That's it. Okay. So yes, these are all the things to note. Later, this was our question. The very first thing we do is that paraphrasing. Let me take you towards that only directly. How do we divide in the steps? So we have divided it like this. You don't need to write it like this in your actual write-up. This is just for your understanding I'm showing you. This you have to do on your rough paper if you want. Okay, you will always be getting the rough paper with you. So over there you can write these steps. So what is the first step? Limestone and clay are crushed into a powder using a crusher, right? This is what we saw. Later on, the powder is mixed thoroughly in a mixer. That whole powder, the fine powder which we produced from the crusher, got mixed in the mixer. Now, step 3 says that the mixture enters a rotating heater and is heated. Now, this mixture enters into a rotating heater and is also heated externally. And then step 4 says that it is ground in a grinder to form a cement. Now, it's all putting into the grinder. Okay, to form a cement. In this step 5, in the very last step, cement is now packed. We have got our cement now, which is packed into bags for distribution. That's what we see in this. Understood? So these are the 5 steps. Now this you can create in your mind also. You can create on your rough paper also. You don't have to write it in your actual write-up. How will you then write it? Let me show you directly that. That's how you will be writing it. So that is your actual 9-band answer. Let me show you how. You're going to do this. So it is all about 181 words report of yours. The very first para do you see is that the intro para. From here to here is the intro para. Now second one is overview paragraph, in which you just give an overview of whatever is happening. Now in the very first para you see we are doing nothing new but just the paraphrasing. We are doing just the paraphrasing. We are not doing anything new here. We are just changing some of the words and putting the same things which is there in the questions. Okay. So the diagrams illustrate the process of, now here instead of shows we are using illustrate. That's how you just use different words in the intro para. So the diagrams illustrate the process of manufacturing cement and the steps involved in producing concrete. That's what we are doing, using cement for construction purposes. Now this is nothing new, just the paraphrasing of your question. That's it. Now this is what an overview paragraph. In the overview, you will just describe what is happening as an overall perspective. So overall, cement production involves 5 distinct stages. What does your cement production involves? It involves 5 distinct stages, beginning with the crushing of the raw materials and ending with packaging, whereas concrete production is comparatively a simpler process that combines various materials in a concrete mixer. Did you understand? Here what we did, we just described thoroughly as an overall perspective what is happening. So as an overall perspective, we said that cement production is involving 5 distinct stages, and then we used that beginning with the crushing of the raw material and later on ending. Directly from the beginning we came to the ending part. So ending with the packaging. Understood? That's how it goes. And now whereas always shows the contrast. You also have to use these sort of contrasting keywords while you write. So what does it say? Whereas concrete production is a comparatively simpler process that combines various materials in a concrete mixer. Now what's this? For the second diagram also, we just as an overall perspective wrote whatever was there. Understood? So that's how it's gonna go. Next, we will now move forward towards the first body paragraph of yours. Let me tell you what is your structure going to be here. So the structure will go on like this. First, you will use the intro, which I already previously also have shown. Did you just check that? Previously also, we have seen this. This was the structure, that intro, overview, and body paragraphs. So it's going to go like that, right? So intro was there, we did the overview, and now we are coming on to the body paragraphs. In the body paragraphs, we have to divide it like this: body 1, body 2. Since we have got 2 figures, so we will be dividing it like this: body 1, body 2. Body 1 will be dedicated thoroughly towards the first figure. Body 2 will be thoroughly for the second figure. Understood? Now let's quickly jump on to seeing how do we write our body paragraphs. So yes, in the first stage, limestone and clay are crushed together in a crusher. Now here you have to describe each stage precisely. Here you have to elaborate. Don't just go briefly describing like an overview paragraph. That was an overview paragraph. Since it's the body paragraph, you have to describe each stage properly. Understood? So it's like in the first stage, limestone and clay are crushed together in a crusher to produce a fine powder. This is it in the first stage. Now this powder is then mixed thoroughly in a mixer before being fed into a rotating heater. Clear? Now this got mixed before being fed into the rotating heater. After being fed into a rotating heater, what happens? Where it is heated. Now it is heated at high temperatures, and then the heated material is subsequently ground in a grinder to form cement. Understood? Now this is we are putting this mixture, this heating material in a grinder, okay, to form the cement, which is finally packed into bags for transportation and use. Now as we have produced, our cement is now thoroughly packed and is ready to use for the transportation, and we are just packing it. So this is all about it. This is how you're going to write it. Now guys, you don't have to misinterpret this thing that this is the only language you have to use. You can use your own language also. You can have your own understanding also of the figures. But what all I'm trying to say is just this, that you are just supposed to use these good words, like the contrasting word, which is whereas, the sequencers in the first stage, in the second stage, like that. So it, gets very easier for the second person, the one who is reading your write-up, is very easy for them to read and understand it better. That's why you have to just incorporate these things in your write-ups from the sample answers. Okay, otherwise you don't have to just learn those exact words. You just have to learn some good words from it and incorporate in your own write-ups. That's what you're supposed to do. Now let's quickly come on to the second figure. What's that? It's concrete production. So concrete production, in contrast, now in contrast is coming, which is again showing us the contrast of something, right? So just a moment. Yes. So concrete production, in contrast, involves a single step. It's a single step process. Understood? Cement 15, in which what do we do? It's a single step process in which we just put everything in one place. What are the things we are putting? So cement, which is 15%, water, which is 10%, sand, which is 25%, and gravel, which is 50%. Gravel is what? Small stones, which is used for the buildings production, right? So this is all we are putting in, all are measured. Okay, we are measuring it that 25%, 50%, 10% like that. And then after precisely and placed in a concrete mixer. Now we are all putting them all together and mixing it. Understood? In a concrete mixer. Now these materials are then mixed together. Now these all are the materials which are then mixed together, and until a uniform concrete mixture is achieved. Until we are achieving a uniform mixture, these all are mixed together and now ready for use in building productions or building projects. Now this concrete material is something which is ready, and now you can use it for your various things like building production, housing production, and different kind of projects. So that's how we just elaborated and talked about both the figures separately, individually, and properly. Did you guys understand? I hope you understood this. Okay, so this is how you're supposed to always describe about your figures. Whatever is the figure, you just have to build your own understanding after reading the question, after reading the labeled things from it. It's very important you read the question and the labeled things so that you can build up your own understanding. Sometimes the steps will be there in the mentioned in the question, sometimes they might not be there. But you don't have to get afraid from not getting the steps mentioned in the question. It's okay. You have to always build your own understanding from it. Got it? Let's move ahead now. Now let's understand what are the key features in the answers were there, which you also have to learn. So we used a passive voice like is crushed, is heated, is mixed, like that. So you always have to use passive voice here while describing about the things in the process diagram. Now linking words, we also use linking words. What were they? Initially, then, subsequently, finally. These are some linking words by which we get to know now what's happening. Now what is the time period when it's happening? So all these are crucial. And no personal opinion. Here you don't have to provide any kind of a personal opinion. You will be asked to provide your personal opinion in the essays, not here in the report writing. It's just report writing are just meant to be there in a way that you just need to describe what's happening in the figures. You're not supposed to provide your own opinions. Understood? Let's move ahead. Clear and concise description you have to provide to it. Okay. Now let's talk about some linking word sequences. What are they? Firstly, okay, then, after that, subsequently. You can use, these are really good words to use. You can use them. Firstly, after that, subsequently, following that, right? The next step, once completed, eventually. Eventually is a very good word you can utilize all the time. At the beginning, at the end, ultimately also you can add up here. The process starts with the cycle repeats, like that. Then after, these are some expressions which you can use for the time, right? To show the time. What was the point? What was the time? Now at this point, during this stage, in the following stage, at the same time, meanwhile, usi beech, meanwhile, before the next stage, simultaneously, and after being heated or filtered or processed. Like these things you always have to use. Now we always have to avoid these mistakes from doing while writing our report. What are these? Describing the diagrams like a list. It's not a list, it's the whole process. Okay? Using active voice unnecessarily, for example, workers, crush. You don't need to use the active voice here. Instead, you have to use the passive voice. Now, because this is not happening presently, you can't use the active voice. This is something which has happened and now you're someone who's describing it. Understood? Forgetting the overview. You are not writing your overview paragraph. Again, it's a very big mistake which you guys can make ever, because overview gives the clarity to the reader. Okay, what is happening, and is the person who is writing this report has understood what's happening or not. So the overview paragraph gives the clarity for this. Next, skipping stages or adding extra details. You're skipping the stages which are very crucial. You can't skip any kind of a stage here. And adding extra details. You're not supposed to add anything from your own. Right? So these are some common mistakes of the process diagrams which you always must avoid. Next. Now, final steps for the band 9, what all you can see are these. Cover every stage in logical order, use variety of the grammatical structures, keep your word count in between of 170 to 190. I would say keep it till 180, okay? Cause relevancy is also one of your parameters which you have, and on the basis of that you get a good band. So that's why there is no official limit as such that you can't go writing more than this word count limit. There is nothing like that. 150 is the minimum word count limit. But what I say is that if you write till 200, 300 words, what comes over there? Irrelevancy. Because that is also one of our parameters. So we have to keep it precise. Okay. So 150 to 180 you must go for, and then practice with similar process diagrams. Like there are similar various kind of process diagram you can practice, water cycle, glass production, etc., like that, so that you know that are you being able to understand the process properly or not, all these things. Now the key is that you need to write clearly, formal description, not analysis, not opinions. You are not supposed to provide your opinions. Okay, it should not be opinions, it should just be description of whatever is given in the figure. I hope things are clearer. So thank you so much, guys. That was it for today's session. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you will not make such silly mistakes while writing your process diagrams. Thank you so much.